One of the biggest struggles that most content creators have when it comes to growing on Instagram is being consistent. Maybe you've struggled with this too. I know I have. Whether you've had a hard time being consistent because of burnout or maybe just because you don't have a solid system in place, this video is hopefully going to help you work through some of those barriers and get consistent on Instagram. I can feel it, my friend. We are finally going to get there. If this is something that you have been dealing with for a really long time, putting these strategies into place is really going to help you, because I know it helped me. Also, these tools and strategies can be really helpful in other areas of life too. If you're struggling to build habits and be consistent in some of those routines and, goals that you have, then hopefully some of these tips can help you with that too. We're not only growing on social media, we are growing as a person, okay? So keep on watching. Welcome back or welcome here if you're new. My name is Katie and I'm here to be like your social media older sister, guiding you through the journey of becoming a content creator, because I've been making stuff for the internet for over a decade now and I've learned a thing or two along the way that I want to share with you. So if you feel like you would like a little bit of guidance on your creator journey, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. First of all, let's just cover the biggest misconception when it comes to how we talk about being consistent on Instagram. And this especially relates to other areas of life like fitness or journaling or learning a new language or whatever kind of habit you're trying to build. If you have struggled with consistency in the past and you really want to do something, but you just can't seem to work towards it or achieve it, it is not because you don't have the willpower. It's really because you don't have the systems. And I feel like so much of the conversation tends to be around like, if you want it badly enough, you'll do it. And you just need to have the motivation. It's not about motivation, it's about routine. Here's the thing, a lot of people feel guilt and shame around lack of consistency, whether it's on Instagram or any other area in their life. And it tends to be because when we talk about it, we talk so much about willpower. And so if you feel like you've struggled with consistency, it almost feels like you're saying, oh, I don't have the motivation, I don't have the willpower. That's not true. If you really want something, it's not just that you need to like bang your head against the wall trying to push yourself to keep doing it, like keep posting on Instagram. It's that you need to build the routines and the systems that will enable you to actually execute on these plans that you have. Just to illustrate this further, and I promise we'll talk more specifically about Instagram in a minute, but to give you an example of where this willpower / motivation versus habit kind of thing comes into play. Like most people over the years, I have struggled to keep up a regular fitness routine. Even though I've always wanted to, and I know I enjoy it when I do, and like everybody else, I make a New Year's resolution that says exercise more often or whatever. There was a period of time, about like 6 months leading into the pandemic, where I was actually going to workout classes that I really enjoyed and had a fun time at about 4 or 5 times a week. Now, did I just all of a sudden have so much more motivation or so much more willpower during that time? No, I just was able to make it a habit. I made it a part of my routine that every day after work, I would simply walk across the street to my local yoga / bar studio and do a class there. And once it becomes a part of your daily routine, it is really easy to keep going. Just like maybe right now for me, reading my book or taking a bath every night or watching Netflix or playing Mario Kart are part of my daily routines. It's easy to keep doing them because it's part of my daily flow of life. And so that time when I was able to actually, do my yoga and bar classes regularly, it was because it was a part of my daily routine. Now, here's the thing, and this is where it really applies to content creation or like any habit in life. There are ways that you can start working towards making something a habit for you. My personal strategy when I was going to in-person workout classes was at the beginning of every week, I would open up the app to book my classes. So every Sunday night, I'd be like getting into bed, scrolling on my phone, and I would open up the app and I would book myself into my like 4 or so yoga or barre classes for the week. And because I knew I was paying for it and I had already committed to going at those times, that helped me make it a part of my schedule and routine for the week. So hopefully this little illustration has proven to you that being consistent on Instagram is not just about sheer willpower or like wanting it enough or being energetic or motivated enough to get it done. It's about creating a system and a schedule for yourself that you're going to be able to follow so that you can make it into a habit to the point where it becomes easy to be consistent. So let's talk about how you can actually go about building those systems for yourself. This is not just about identifying what it is you want to do. For example, post 3 times a week on Instagram. It's about actually creating really specific sets of steps that you could take to make sure that you execute on that. So let's say you've been really here and there on Instagram and you want to start getting consistent again. This is what I would do. Start with just batching a week of content at a time. Don't get all set up to like do a whole month or something. That might be overwhelming and it might just lead to further like inconsistency. So I would recommend start with working on a week of content at a time. You can work on next week's content right now kind of thing, and then you'll always be a week ahead. I would recommend that each week you aim to schedule yourself 2 hours so that you can film your reels, like shoot your photos, write your captions, all of that stuff. You're going to want at least 2 hours sometime in your week to work on this. So depending on your current schedule and what kind of works in your life, there are 2 ways you can approach this. The first is to just simply make it recurring. So every week you do this at the same time. So maybe you tell yourself, okay, every Saturday morning from 10 to noon, I am gonna work on my Instagram content batching. This can be a really easy way to make it a habit because you get it in your calendar, you do it every week, and you really just get used to that flow. But for other people that have more variable schedules, there is another approach to this that doesn't require you to have the same 2 hours every week to do your content creation. And this is the second option. This is what I call making it a like relative habit. So instead of scheduling yourself those 2 hours every Saturday morning, I recommend scheduling yourself, let's say like 10 minutes every like Sunday evening, where you are gonna sit down and look at your calendar and determine when you can fit those 2 hours in this week. This is really similar to my method for regularly going to my workout classes back in the day. I wasn't doing the exact same classes every single week at the exact same time slots, but I did have a routine of every Sunday evening looking at my calendar and then deciding what times I was gonna work out. So you're gonna do the same thing for your Instagram content creation. Every Sunday evening I think is a good time to do it, but you can decide for yourself when that check-in time is. Schedule that into your calendar, give yourself those 10 or 15 minutes to look at your upcoming week and actually physically schedule in those 2 hours somewhere in your week where you're going to work on your content. So this is kind of the base habit that we are going to build to get you to the point where you can make sure that you're creating content consistently and posting consistently. But we need to start with something so easy to do, you would rather just check it off your to-do list than procrastinate on it. And that base habit is going to be scheduling your time in the week to create. And I would really recommend, as silly as it might sound, because you're like, I should just remember to do it. No, actually put it in your calendar. Like, give yourself a reminder so that there's no way that you can forget. And my biggest tip for making sure that you actually follow through on these like content creation blocks is you need to make your plan with your future self in mind. I think especially when we're focusing on like personal growth or working towards goals, it's so easy to put all of this responsibility on our future self. Like, oh, Katie tomorrow will get it done. Katie next week will have the energy to do it. You can't depend on that. So you need to make sure that you're setting things up for your future self in a way that's gonna like make things really easy for her. Be reasonable about what you can actually do and when you'll want to do it. Like when you're planning things out in your mind, you're probably like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna get up at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning and like put in all this time to create content. That's how I'm gonna be consistent. And sure, that sounds really good. And maybe that aligns with some sort of vision of what you think you should be doing because, you know, successful people get up early or whatever. But if you know that you don't want to have to wake up early on the weekends, then be reasonable and say, I'm gonna start working on my Instagram content at like 10 or 11 or something like that. And then you will probably actually do it. Whereas if you set these really lofty, like dream sort of versions of these goals, then likely you will just procrastinate and not want to do it and then continue being inconsistent. And we don't want that. This is something that I took away from actually reading James Clear's book called Atomic Habits, which I would recommend if you haven't read it. The biggest thing you need to do if you want to build a habit is make that habit easy. Make it so easy to do that you would rather do it than not. So, make it happen at a time when you are gonna enjoy it. Like, think about how you can make your content creation process even more fun. Like, maybe it's going to sit at a coffee shop to write your captions, or maybe it's like making your favorite smoothie or something at home while you work on it. Whatever it is that's gonna make you look forward to it and actually enjoy it, that's what's going to make you actually do it. So building habits and like working on personal growth is not about punishment or trying to like really change ourselves into being something better. It's about taking advantage of the things that we already enjoy and then using them to like help us move forward and progress. So think about what kind of content creation routine might work better for you. Should it just be something that's recurring and fixed like every Saturday morning? Or do you want it to be relative so that you build a habit of scheduling in your content creation? Try to decide now which is going to be better for you, and I want you to make a note in your phone to actually go ahead and like set those reminders. Let me know in the comments if you did it, because I'm going to keep you accountable. We're going to get you consistent on Instagram. Okay, so that's kind of the philosophy behind how we're gonna make this work. Let's head over to my desk and I'm actually gonna show you some like tangible tips of what I would recommend doing to keep you consistent, and like what I do in Google Calendar and Notion, etc. Okay, so first let's look at setting up some reminders in your Google Calendar. So this is my Google Calendar for a few weeks out. I just tried to find a week where there wasn't much scheduled yet. Got a couple recurring meetings, but for the most part, it's wide open. So if I was going to set myself a reminder to actually do my content creation, I would just go ahead and like select, like I was saying, maybe 10 to noon on Saturday. And I recommend, if you want, like create another calendar just for your Instagram content creation reminders. So for me, I might pick like personal, or you can call it whatever you want. And then just obviously label it Instagram content creation. Now, if you're doing this recurring every single week, you're going to want to click on does not repeat and actually change that to say weekly on Saturday. And here's the important part, if you really want to keep yourself accountable, is adding a notification. So whatever's going to be most helpful to you, if you need a reminder a day before so that you don't like plan to do something else on your Saturday morning, or if you need it like an hour before, whatever it looks like for you, make sure you add that notification in. And then you can just save it and you'll see that obviously every Saturday moving forward, it's going to show up there. Now, the other way you can do this, which is kind of what has worked for me in the past, is over here on Sunday evening, I'm going to set myself a reminder for around like the time that I would be kind of getting ready for bed. So let's say at 10:30, I will add a little event that says schedule content creation for the week. Again, I'm going to change this to repeat weekly on Sunday. I'm going to change the calendar and I'm going to add a notification. For this one, we're just going to do it 5 minutes before, because we're pretty much just trying to do it at that time. We're not trying to like prepare ourselves. The reminder just needs to be, hey, schedule your Instagram content. So I'm just going to make it like basically at the time of the event, and then save it. And then you'll have your notification every Sunday evening telling you to schedule in your content creation for the week. The next tip I wanted to show you is how I give myself reminders to make sure I'm actually posting all this content that I'm creating, right? Because it's one thing to get in the habit of creating the content, which for the record, I think is the harder part, because once you have the content created and scheduled, it's just like a little thing to go ahead and actually post it. So that's why I've been focusing so much on building a habit of content creation. But I did want to show you my tip for how I make sure that I'm actually posting all this content that I batch. So here's a look at my Notion dashboard, and basically I know that a big struggle with people who use Notion is there's not really a integrated way to create like recurring tasks in Notion. So I wanted to show you how I do it. So as you can see along the top of my dashboard here, I've got like a few different like menu options, and these just kind of go to other pages that I frequently visit. But this little drop down section here is called weekly recurring tasks. And you'll see if I do this little toggle, there's a whole list of stuff that I do like every week that I want to make sure that I don't forget. So basically what I do each week is I just select all of this and I go Command C to copy it, and then I just untoggle it so it goes away. And then I've already like planned my week here, but if this was a brand new week, I would just go ahead and like paste this and then basically start moving all of these to like different days so that I remember to make my TikToks, post my TikToks, all that stuff. So if you want to create a drop down of recurring tasks that you can kind of like drag and organize each week, this is how you can do it. So here's just a blank page in Notion, but you're going to start by just typing a slash, and then you're going to go and type in toggle. And so you can see it comes up. So I'm just going to select that, and then you can call this whatever you want. I like to do a little calendar icon. So I just like bring up the emoji menu and then write weekly. You can write like weekly tasks or whatever. So now you're going to click on this little toggle arrow, and you'll see that it says empty toggle, click or drop block inside. So I'm just going to click, and I'm going to hit slash again, and I'm going to start typing to do. And this brings up my to-do list block. And then I can start typing in whatever I need to do each day. So like post to Instagram story. And let's say I want to do this, every day. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to actually add it in like 5 times and delete this extra one. So now every week I've already got like pre-created tasks that say post Instagram story that I can copy and paste and then kind of click and drag them onto each day of the week. So of course you can do this with like whatever other tasks you want to do, like post a TikTok or go live on Instagram. Whatever it is, you can just like create that to-do list here. And then you sort of have this like preset weekly to-do list. So you make sure that you're not forgetting any of these things. I've personally found that this works better for me than my old method of like calendar blocking and actually putting in when I'm going to do all these things and like filling out my calendar for the week. I found that a little bit restrictive and stressful, and it didn't really allow me to like follow my creative inspiration when I was like kind of working and like in a flow on something else. And then, okay, now I just have to stop to do this like predetermined task. If I just allow myself to schedule them each kind of day and week based on when it fits in best in my schedule, I find that it works better for me. So that's how I like to do it in Notion. And then of course, I like to schedule all of my content in Later, and Later also sends you notifications to remember to post content that you can't just auto publish. So I think that's another like really great tool for staying consistent on Instagram. Speaking of scheduling everything in Later and batching all of this content, if this video has inspired you and made you feel like you're ready to get consistent on Instagram, then you might want to check out this video that I made where I show you my actual like full day process of how I batch all my reels, shoot my photos, write my captions, all that jazz. It's in this video, so go ahead and check that out. I hope this video was helpful for you. I believe in you. I know that you can get consistent if you just put the right systems and habits in place. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are having adventures and following your dreams, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.